You know, the struggle is real for quick COVID-19 test results. Some Americans get theirs in hours, while others are waiting days and sometimes even weeks. And that wait can be agonizing too, especially if you can't go to work until you get a negative result. So should you still be getting a paycheck while you wait? Evan Kozloff verifies.
The Verify team exists to answer your coronavirus questions and put it all in context. One viewer emailed the team and asked us to verify, should they be getting paid while they wait for COVID-19 test results? And we should note that without knowing their job, their company, or taking into account their state laws, it's hard to answer that question specifically. But we can verify that there's one resource available from the federal government. Our sources are the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, or the FFCRA, and guidance from the Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division. According to the Department of Labor, the act in part, quote, requires certain employers to provide employees with paid sick leave for specified reasons related to COVID-19. But here's the thing, there are certain requirements, both in terms of the employer and the employee. For the employer, the law applies to certain public agencies and private companies with fewer than 500 employees. Now let's move to the employee requirements. To get their regular pay, an employee must not be able to work or telework and fall into one of these scenarios. The employee is under a federal, state, or local order to quarantine or isolate because of the virus. They must have been advised by a healthcare provider to self-quarantine related to COVID-19, or they must be experiencing COVID-19 symptoms and seeking a medical diagnosis. Separately, the Department of Labor says that certain healthcare providers and emergency responders may be excluded by their employer from getting this leave. If you are indeed covered under the FFCRA, you're entitled to 2 weeks off, capped at 80 hours, paid by your employer. And private sector employers are eligible for a tax credit from the government. With your Verify, this is Evan Kozloff.